We lived normal life. My father had a business. We went to school. And then, when I was 18, suddenly the Nazi Party established. As you can imagine, I am Jewish, and in Hungary they collected us even before Hitler came into Hungary. The Hungarians, they decided to get rid of us. Overnight, all the people stopped at school.
They didn't talk to you?
No, and I wanted to cry in the morning, but I did not. Suddenly, my father got, with the other Jews, no material restriction, couldn't do their business, and I said, I want to go away from here. And my father was outraged. I was then 15, and I wanted to leave Hungary. And my father was outraged. Now that I am great-grandmother, I can understand that a 15-year-old girl just can't in those days gallivanting in the world. But then I was very angry that why don't they let me go away. First they packed us in our home. We were allowed to take 50 kilogram food parcels, which straight away when we arrived, and we kept 6 weeks they kept us in that ghetto. We were 5 people, mother, father, grandmother, and my sister and I. So we got one room for the 5 people, and we all had one kitchen for, they were about 80 people.
In one house?
For one house. Sharing bathroom, kitchen, everything. And then we stayed, and then in 3 years' time, when the Germans came in, we went to the camps. My mother was 48 years old, my father 55, my grandmother who lived with us 71, and they collected all the Jews many years before the Germans came into Hungary. Then they put us in cattle wagons where we were locked in 100 persons, a bucket of water and another bucket for necessities. And we were traveling for 3 days without food. A lot of people in Czechoslovakia, because they were very good people, the Czechs, brought some food to the wagons. Germans. They were sitting on top of the wagons and they did not let them bring food. Some people died in the wagon, and then we arrived to Auschwitz, the concentration camp. I never saw my father anymore. As soon as we got off from the cattle wagons, straight away in 1 minute we were separated from my mother, grandma, father, and never saw them again. Separated from our parents, who were put in, and the little children to the gas chambers. And because my sister and I, we been 16 and I was 21, we were separated for work, and we were put to a munition factory where we did the tubes for the guns. And we were working 12 hours, one slice of bread and a soup which was very, very thin. I should not tell that, but at the gas, as I heard, the grown-ups start to get some air, and the little ones stayed down, so they stayed alive. And when they brought out the bodies, then the little ones were alive, and the Germans shot them.
With a gun.
That's what we heard.
Which camps? Where
Auschwitz,
camps? Where you
Bergen-Belsen,
sent to?
and then to Bergen-Belsen came the factory manager and brought us to the camp where we were, labor camp. And then after we went to Theresian, where they got freed from the Russians, which was no fun either, because they did not bring any medication, they had no food, and we were by then 22 kilograms. You saw those pictures with skeletons. And then they took us walking to 10 kilometers with 10 kilograms to the Theresian, where we got freed from the Russians. The Americans came and liberated, and they straight away started to separate the half-dead and the sick people, but the Russians said, "Davai," they let them the typhoid fever, which we had already. You can go and rob whatever you can, because they had no medicine, no food, nothing. They my sister was very ill, and she had a spot already on the lungs. She was 15 and a half. And when she was lying in bed, and we had to wait for the hospital trains which took us back to Hungary and into a hospital, and from the hospital they took into a sanatorium for the lungs. And I went back to my father's house, which was occupied already.
So people were living in your house when you got back?
They haven't had a hanky. The Hungarians robbed everything.
What was inside your house when you came back to it?
The piano,
Just the piano was left?
because that was too heavy to rob. That's all. And then an organization gave us some bed where we could, and a few dishes that I could cook, and some food. That was the United Nations. Somehow I feel that for you young people must know what's happened, and therefore hopefully it must not happen again. Just somebody who is a different religion, a different race, which is very bad discrimination. People should love each other and tolerate each other, not because you come here or there or everywhere else and you have got different race or different skin. That's very bad discrimination, and you should be happy with together and love each other.